June 11, 2024, News Report 1. On June 11, the Jilin City Public Security Bureau's Jiaochuan Camp Branch issued a police incident report in the evening, revealing a stabbing incident at Beishan Park. According to the report, the perpetrator, Cui Dapeng, collided with a foreign tourist in Beishan Park and then attacked with a knife, injuring the foreign tourist and 3 companions, as well as 1 Chinese tourist. All 4 injured foreigners are Americans from Cornell College in Iowa, invited to lecture at Beihua University. The police did not arrest Cui Dapeng on the spot but apprehended him on the day of the incident. The incident is considered an indiscriminate attack on foreigners, sparking discussions among netizens. When asked at the June 11 regular press conference of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs if the incident was targeted, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian stated that according to the local police investigation, the incident was a random act. However, this explanation has been met with skepticism, as it is seen as difficult to explain the perpetrator's actions as random. White House National Security Advisor Sullivan expressed concern for the victims and stated that the White House is in contact with the victims and Chinese partners to ensure they receive necessary assistance and that the police take all necessary measures. One of the injured American teachers, named David, is the brother of Zabuna, a member of the Iowa House of Representatives. Additionally, NBC and NBC reported on the teachers being treated at the hospital. The report noted that while China strictly controls firearms, knife attacks have become more frequent in recent years, mostly occurring on school campuses. This incident has once again raised concerns about the safety situation in China and underscores the need for caution among foreign tourists traveling to China. News Report 2. Taiwan's Coast Guard Administration announced on June 11 that 10 officials were disciplined for negligence, which allowed Chinese illegal immigrants to enter the mouth of the Tamsui River by speedboat and ultimately land at the Tamsui Fisherman's Wharf. The Coast Guard Administration stated that on the noon of June 9, a radar operator at sea 6 nautical miles off Tamsui mistakenly identified a speedboat as a returning Taiwanese fishing boat. Subsequently, the radar operator requested personnel from the Tamsui fishing port and Bali security checkpoint to identify the target, but did not dispatch patrol boats for interception and inspection in time. Even after the Bali security checkpoint personnel discovered that the speedboat was not a Taiwanese fishing boat, no action was taken in a timely manner. The Coast Guard Administration stated that the incident was entirely due to human error and negligence, and not a failure of the surveillance system. In addition, at the Legislative Yuan on June 11, Taiwan's Ocean Affairs Council chairperson Quan Pailing revealed that a Chinese man who arrived in Taiwan by speedboat had served in the People's Liberation Army and had been a ship captain. She stated that this Chinese person came to Taiwan to seek freedom. Liberty Times reported that Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense began a 21-day information security monitoring operation on June 11 to prevent Chinese hackers from launching attacks on Taiwan's network. News Report 3. The Dutch Ministry of Defense recently stated that the Dutch Navy frigate Tromp encountered a situation on June 7 in the international waters of the East China Sea while carrying out sanctions against North Korea imposed by the United Nations Security Council. The People's Liberation Army aircraft circled above the Tromp and approached the helicopter of the Dutch frigate, creating an unsafe situation. In response, Chinese Ministry of National Defense spokesperson Zhang Xiaojiang stated on June 11 that the Tromp's helicopter engaged in provocative behavior in an area east of Shanghai and that the Eastern Theater Command of the PLA took measures such as verbal warnings and launching aircraft to drive it away. He accused the Dutch side of falsely claiming to be carrying out UN missions and showing off force in Chinese-controlled sea and airspace, creating a tense situation and damaging the friendly relationship between the two countries. Observers believe that Zhang Xiaojiang's statement contains inaccuracies. The key issue is whether the activities of the Dutch warship and helicopter were in international waters or airspace. If they were indeed in international waters or airspace, the actions of the PLA would be considered illegal and in violation of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Zhang Xiaojiang used vague terms such as east of Shanghai to refer to Chinese-controlled airspace without clearly specifying whether it was Chinese territorial airspace. This ambiguous statement has raised doubts and is seen as an intentional attempt to confuse the situation. Overall, the international community is concerned about the PLA's aggressive actions in international waters and calls on all parties to respect international law and avoid escalating tensions. News Report 4. According to Vientiane news agency, Vietnamese President Su Lin met with Chinese Ambassador Xiong Bo at the Presidential Palace on June 11. Su Lin expressed the need for both China and Vietnam to earnestly implement high-level consensus, better manage and resolve maritime disputes, respect each other's legitimate interests, and actively seek proper handling measures in accordance with international law. Xiong Bo responded that China will strive to implement high-level consensus, better manage and resolve maritime disputes, promote the healthy and stable development of China-Vietnam Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership, and bring tangible benefits to the two countries' people. Despite sovereignty disputes in the South China Sea, Vietnam and China, as neighbors and communist countries, have been carefully maintaining friendly relations for economic and political interests, trying to avoid conflicts. However, China's actions in the South China Sea have become increasingly aggressive in recent years. In early March this year, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the baseline of the territorial sea in the northern Gulf of Tonkin, including Vietnam's exclusive economic zone, into China's territorial sea. In response, the Vietnamese Ministry of Foreign Affairs called on China to respect international law and the rights of other countries. On June 6, a Chinese research vessel once again entered Vietnam's exclusive economic zone, causing deep concern for the Vietnamese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In response to China, Vietnam has also begun to mimic China's land reclamation activities in the South China Sea. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, SISE, recently released a report stating that Vietnam has reclaimed 2,360 acres in disputed areas, about half of China's reclaimed area, 4,650 acres, which is quite significant. News Report 5. According to Yonhap news agency, on June 11, the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff issued a statement stating that North Korean soldiers crossed the border in the Inter-Korean Demilitarized Zone on June 9. The South Korean military immediately issued warnings through broadcasts and fired warning shots, prompting the North Korean soldiers to retreat back into North Korean territory. Lee Sung-joon, a spokesperson for the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff, stated that at the time, North Korean soldiers were operating in the central part of the demilitarized zone, with around 30 North Korean soldiers crossing the military demarcation line, most of them carrying tools, and some equipped with weapons. The distance of the crossing did not exceed 50 meters. Lee pointed out that the demilitarized zone is currently overgrown with vegetation, making it difficult to see the markings of the military demarcation line, and that the North Korean soldiers may have lost their way during their operations. The statement from the South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff indicated that the South Korean military is closely monitoring the movements of the North Korean military and will take appropriate measures according to wartime procedures. Currently, inter-Korean relations are tense, with North Korea releasing balloons containing garbage toward South Korea, and South Korea resuming broadcasts toward North Korea through loudspeakers. Concerns are raised externally about whether the North Korean soldiers' crossing was an attempt to probe South Korea's reaction, which is seen as a form of gray zone warfare aiming to escalate tensions between North and South Korea. The South Korean government announced 2 days after the incident that the North Korean soldiers did not intentionally cross the border, indicating that the South Korean government did not want the situation to escalate and further deteriorate. News Report 6. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen approved the Executive Yuan's proposal to reconsider the Parliamentary Reform Act on June 11. The Legislative Yuan is expected to vote on the bill again as soon as June 18. Previously, the Kuomintang, KMT, and People First Party, PFP, forcibly passed the Parliamentary Reform Act on June 6. The executive yuan subsequently proposed a reconsideration according to the procedure, and after President Tsai Ing-wen's approval, the resolution for reconsideration was sent to the presidential office and the legislative yuan on the morning of June 11. According to the procedure, if more than half of the legislators agree to reconsider, the original bill will be rejected. If more than half of the legislators oppose reconsideration, the bill will remain unchanged. Currently, the KMT and PFP hold more than half of the 60 seats in the legislative yuan, so the executive yuan's reconsideration is unlikely to pass. Because the Parliamentary Reform Act is considered to violate the president's constitutional rights, the executive yuan may subsequently request a constitutional interpretation by the Grand Justices. In addition, the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, Legislative Caucus stated that the bill being pushed by the KMT and PFP would increase the central government's budget to 2.8 trillion new Taiwan dollars, 1.8 times higher than the previous year. This additional funding will mainly flow to the regions governed by the KMT and PFP. The DPP criticized the actions of the KMT and PFP, stating that this move would increase the burden on each Taiwanese citizen by 630,000 new Taiwan dollars per year, reflecting the consequences of the KMT and PFP's joint control of the legislative yuan. News Report 7. Pengpai News reported that the exchange rate of the Chinese yuan against the US dollar fell below the 7.25 mark after the opening on June 11, dropping to a low of 7.2531, the lowest level in 7 months. The offshore yuan exchange rate against the US dollar also declined, briefly falling below the 7.27 mark. At 11 a.m. Eastern Time, it was reported at 7.2726. On June 12, the central parity rate of the yuan against the US dollar was set at 7.1135, down 29 basis points, hitting the lowest level since May, with a deviation from market expectations expanding to 1,600 points. The decline of the yuan is related to the strength of the US dollar index. Last week, the U.S. announced an increase of 272,000 in non-farm employment in May, significantly higher than the expected 92,000, indicating a very strong U.S. job market, leading to a renewed rise in the U.S. dollar index. The U.S. dollar index retook the 105 mark, reaching 105.24 on June 11. News Report 8. The High Court of Hong Kong announced on June 11 that Chinese real estate developer Evergrande has been declared bankrupt. Evergrande is a real estate company from Zhejiang Province, mainly developing residential and commercial buildings in the Yangtze River Delta region. Evergrande was listed in Hong Kong in 2019 and ranked 45th among China's top 100 real estate companies in 2022. Evergrande's annual report shows that as of the end of last year, total assets were 764 billion, total liabilities were 644 billion, and the asset-liability ratio reached 84%. On March 22 this year, China Construction Bank applied to the High Court of Hong Kong for Evergrande's bankruptcy, citing Evergrande's failure to pay off $350 million in bonds and interest due in December 2022. After the High Court of Hong Kong announced Evergrande's bankruptcy on June 11, Evergrande subsequently issued a notice suspending stock trading from 11:35 a.m. on the same day, with the stock price before the suspension at 0.085 yuan. In recent years, the High Court of Hong Kong has announced bankruptcies of several Chinese real estate companies, including Jiayuan International, Xincheng Holdings, and Evergrande. China Construction Bank's application for Evergrande's bankruptcy led to its bankruptcy in less than 3 months, attracting attention to the Chinese real estate market. News Report 9. Xinhua News Agency reported that Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian announced on June 11 that Chinese Premier Li Keqiang will visit New Zealand, Australia, and Malaysia from June 13 to 20. Australian Prime Minister Albanese previously stated that Li Keqiang will visit Australia from June 15 to 18, marking the first visit of a Chinese premier to Australia in 7 years. In 2020, the former Australian government requested an international investigation into the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to a deterioration in China-Australia relations. However, since Albanese was elected as Australian Prime Minister in 2022, relations between the two countries have begun to improve. In November last year, Albanese received a warm welcome during his visit to China. News Report 10. Central News Agency reported that the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs will establish the Taipei Czech Center in Taipei on June 14. Czech Senate Vice President Dr. Drahos, who is currently visiting Taiwan, will preside over the opening ceremony. The head of the Taipei Czech Center, Jirkova, expressed hope that the center can showcase democratic values and deepen Taiwanese understanding of the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic is a member of the European Union and NATO, and although it supports the One China policy, it maintains close ties with Taiwan. In 2020, the president of the Czech Senate, Vesel, visited Taiwan, and last year, the Speaker of the Czech Chamber of Deputies also visited Taiwan. Taiwan's former Minister of Foreign Affairs Wu Zhaoxie visited the Czech Republic twice. The establishment of the Czech Center in Taipei is a prominent case that may affect Sino-Czech relations. News Report 11. The conference of the Ukraine Reconstruction Commission is held in Berlin, Germany, opening on June 11, with 2,000 representatives from 60 countries attending. The conference mainly discusses the resolution of war losses and the long-term development of Ukraine. The Reconstruction Conference will launch 95 investment projects, hoping to receive Western financial support. Ukraine and Germany have signed a joint declaration of intent to strengthen bilateral cooperation and support Ukraine's reconstruction. German Chancellor Scholz stated that enterprises play a key role in Ukraine's reconstruction but need investment opportunities. Ukraine has enormous development potential in renewable energy, pharmaceuticals, and IT. Facing Russian attacks, the urgent solution for Ukraine's energy industry is a priority. The Ukrainian Ministry of Energy stated that since March 22, Russia has conducted large-scale missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian energy facilities, causing severe damage to energy facilities in 5 regions.